Hello, I'm Ali Pitts, and welcome to a Russian and Soviet movie podcast. If you've never seen a silent film with a live score, it's an incredible experience. The combination of music that's being produced right now in the room with me, combined with images from a century ago, makes me feel as though I have access to some kind of sci-fi technology that allows me to live in the past and the present simultaneously, all while sharing that experience with a crowd of other people. I originally conceived this mini episode as something slightly less mini, with recommendations of silent film related podcasts, so that those of you listening to this nowhere near London or the north of England would have something rather more relevant to you to listen to. To cut a long story short, that script expanded way beyond what I could realistically record and edit with the time I had left remaining this weekend. So please bear with me, and if you do know anyone who'd be interested in getting along to either of the events I'm going to talk about, please do let them know. Also, I will be dropping some references to previous episodes in the back catalogue of this show that maybe you hadn't gotten to yet. Okay, having issued that disclaimer, if you're in range of London next Sunday, that's Sunday the 24th of November, Lev Kuleshov's By the Law is screening at 3 p.m. at the Barbican cinema. Here's part of their synopsis. Quote, "On the banks of the Yukon River, a group of prospectors are searching for gold. Soon after they strike lucky, one of the party flips out, killing two others. Now the remaining couple must bury their partners in a raging storm and keep guard over the murderer through the long winter until they can deliver him to the law. But as cabin fever sets in, will they be tempted to take matters into their own hands?" Adapted from a Jack London story with additions from Dostoevsky, this bizarre masterpiece reaches truly astounding levels of emotional intensity. End quote. To me, that's sounding like it has a lot in common with the brilliant John Huston and Humphrey Bogart movie Treasures of the Sierra Madre, which I love. And also, maybe there are some echoes of Buster Keaton's dark comedy The Frozen North in there as well. The Barbican's website also cites By the Law as a personal favourite of the Canadian director Guy Maddin. If you're a long-time listener, maybe you've caught my episode with Lynn Serran on Maddin's short film Stump the Guesser, which riffs on Soviet films from this same era. For this one, the live score will be performed by Stephen Horn on piano and Martin Pine on drums. Incidentally, By the Law was put on my radar by friend of the show Martin Kessler, who was on our episode on the 1930s war movie / Red Western Chapayev, and on another show we did on the Alexei German senior film My Friend Ivan Lapshin, which looked back on the 1930s from the mid-80s. Martin has excellent taste in films, so although I've not seen By the Law yet, I know it will be fantastic. The next film requires no introduction. It's Sergei Eisenstein's Battleship Potemkin. If you're a long-time listener of this show, you'll probably know that this film is central to my podcasting origin story. If you'd like to hear a callower, more youthful version of me discussing that iconic film, you'll find the episode of Classic Schmassic I guested on in the feed of this show. Battleship Potemkin is screening at the Winter Gardens in Morecambe in Lancashire on Saturday 30th of November as the culmination of an event called Silence by the Sea. I was particularly excited to hear about this as it's just down the road from where I went to uni. The programme also includes a series of comedy shorts with stars including Laurel and Hardy, Harold Lloyd and Anita Garvin and Marion Byron. Those last two names are completely new to me, so I am definitely curious. The score for Battleship Potemkin will be performed by Johnny Best on piano. The event is organised by Northern Silence, who've previously hosted screenings in Harrogate, Hull, Chester, Manchester and Leyburn, so if you're not in reach of Morecambe but you're listening to this elsewhere in the north of England, do look them up and give them a follow on social media or subscribe to their email so you can find out what they've got lined up for 2025. Okay, a few more things to mention before we wrap this one up. I'm going to take this opportunity to give my guest spot on the Top 100 podcast, talking about Dziga Vertov's Man with a Movie Camera, another plug, so go listen to that if you haven't already. And if you're on Letterboxd, a great free way to support what I'm endeavouring to do here with this show and around film more generally is to follow me on there if you haven't already, and like my reviews and lists. And finally, I promise, if you're not already subscribed to this podcast on your podcast player of choice, please do that, and if you can spare a moment or two to give us a positive rating or review, I'd very much appreciate it. Thanks for listening. I hope you check out those previous episodes if you haven't already, and if you're in range of one of those screenings, that you'll get yourself along to those and have a fantastic time. Das Vidania, folks.